I'm going to play the beginning of whatever her call with her supporters was yesterday. It's bad. It's really, really bad. Kelsey described this, my producer described this best by saying, it sounds like she's on the phone with nobody. But listen to how they started this thing. They throw it to Kamala Harris, and here is the natural and smooth Kamala Harris that we all know and love very, very much.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Back at you, brother. You are such an extraordinary leader, and we have become lifelong friends. I just, in front of everyone, I want to thank you, Tim. You lead with courage.
All right, so it's just a bunch of nonsense. She sounds drunk. I mean, she really does. She sounds like she's drunk. She sounds like she's being held hostage. We're going to get into why this is happening here in just a minute. But it gets weirder. I mean, it really does. So let's fast forward to her just being strange.
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you.
Don't you let anybody take your power away from you. I love you, man. You're the best. And that's what it sounds like to me. Like someone drunk in a bar telling everyone how much they love them. And if you look at her, she looks disheveled. I mean, it really does. This could be like one of those, this is a person before they start drinking, and this is the person as an alcoholic. If you look at her like headshot and this, it's just embarrassing. Anyway, back to her incoherent rambling.
You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
This is why she lost, because she's saying nothing here. She has had 3 weeks. I mean, California's still counting, but it's been 3 weeks since the election. And she is incapable of even giving a rah-rah thank you speech. That's how embarrassing she is. It's just sad. She can't do it. No confidence in this woman at all because she has no confidence in herself. Everything is so overly scripted, it's embarrassing. Moving on. Here's a clip about her bragging about how much money she raised.
And it means so much to me and to Governor Walz that you knocked on doors, you called friends, you called in favors. You said, hey, I showed up at your softball game. Now I need you to show up at the campaign office.
Who did that? That's not a real thing. It's not. And why is she laughing at this? Because it sounds so freaking stupid. You did favors for me, so I did favors for you. And you did favors like show up at the campaign office because I showed up at your softball game. Has she ever had a real human interaction in her entire life? Doesn't sound like it.
You put in the time. It was personal for you. Because of your efforts, get this, we raised an historic $1.4 billion, almost $1.5 billion. The work must continue of reminding ourselves that we have an ability to stay engaged in a way that will make a difference. The work that you all did, it's going to have lasting effect. The election didn't turn out like we wanted it to. Certainly not as we planned for it to. And I know this is an uncertain time. I'm clear-eyed about that.
Are you? Because you look like someone that just got pulled over and a cop is shining a light in their eyes and asking you how many drinks you had tonight, lady. That's what it looks like. And she is trying her best to come up with something profound, and she can't get there.
I know you're clear-eyed about it. And it feels heavy. And I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you.
Back to that. Don't let anyone take your power from you. Your power, you're so powerful. Oh, my God, you're powerful. Oh, my God, how did you get so powerful? Isn't it amazing how powerful you are? You're so great. And bragging about the money is really my favorite thing so far. That is my favorite thing so far. Now, if you want a real reason why they lost, Mr. Wonderful was on CNN last night, and he laid it out pretty well. Let's take a look at that.
The root of this mistake actually came very early on. They didn't run a process. They made an excuse of $317 million in the kitty. They kept the same campaign manager and said, we will anoint this faulted, broken candidate who was inconsequential in her vice presidency, lost in 2019 as you detailed, complete loser in 2020, never could articulate anything, had no compassion for people, and her own advocates. Let's not forget this. I remember the minute this happened, I was in Europe. She went on to The View. All those women wanted her to win. They threw her a softball. They threw her a second softball. She was so weak as a candidate, she couldn't even answer that she would do something different. It ricocheted around the world. She was finished. Well, let me go. We'll never do that again.
And that's beautiful because that's actually correct. That's exactly what happened. And it's kind of funny to see it that way because that was the moment that a lot of people think she lost the election. I think that's part of it. The Joe Rogan stuff I think is pretty important as well. Here's a couple of things. Why is this happening? And that's really a question that a lot of people have. I think I have the answer. A couple things are coming out right now. They're starting to leak against her, and here they are. Byron York tweeted this out. Top Harris aides say her campaign polling never showed her leading Trump, and her campaign was surprised when public polling did show a Harris lead. Polls were showing us with leads that we never saw. That's amazing. They never showed her up. So the polls were fake. That is incredibly damning. Incredibly damning. And it gets worse because if you go and you look at the polls, and I pulled this up, and you can see this if you're watching on the stream that we're up doing right now on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Rasmussen has Trump up 2. Ipsos, Morning Consult, Yahoo, TIPP, Pew, DFP, New York Times all have Harris up 2, 5, 1, 3, 1, 3, 3. And then you continue. The only poll that has Trump up in the popular vote is Rasmussen, but these other ones continue. 1, 2, 4, 5, 5, 3, 6. And then you have a tie. Quinnipiac gave a tie, but that was in September. 1, 5, 4, 2, 5, 2, 2, 6. All these polls I'm giving you, it's amazing because the internals, they showed that she was losing the entire time. Yet they tried to gaslight the American people. I like that term, gaslight. Remember we say that all the time? What's gaslight? When people say, oh, you're gaslighting me, what does it actually mean? It means you're lying. That's what's actually happening here. They're lying to you over and over and over again. They're lying to you, trying to convince you that something is happening that is not happening. Now, you maybe still ask yourself, Dale, didn't you tell me you were going to tell me why this happened, why this whole thing's happening with Kamala Harris right now 3 weeks later? Before we do that, I want to tell you this. Kamala Harris had 3 times the money, 80% of the legacy media, which is a way undercount by the individual who's telling this story, 99% of Hollywood, and 100% of the federal institutions. They add this at the bottom. So please stop with all the nonsense about how Elon Musk supposedly interfered in the election. I think that's an interesting point to make. But if you're wondering why this is happening right now, listen to this. This is why this entire thing is happening. This is why Kamala Harris is being run out there to embarrass herself. This is why it's happening. Listen to this.
Vice President Kamala Harris lost the 2024 presidential election earlier this month, but a new poll suggests she's still the favorite among Democratic voters for the 2028 nomination. According to a survey by Echelon Insights, 41% of likely Democratic voters would back Harris if the primary were held today, putting her far ahead of California Governor Gavin Newsom at 8% and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro at 7%. Other potential contenders like Pete Buttigieg, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez trailed even further behind. The poll also revealed 16% of voters remain undecided, leaving some room for the field to shift in the coming years.
Well, you have 4 years. So, yes, you have plenty of room for all of this to shift over the next couple of years. But here's what's important. Kamala Harris is still now the face of the Democratic Party, and they've got to stop that. They've got to stop that, and that's what this is about. And the way they're going to destroy her is by running her out there with none of the protections of she's going to be on the ballot. Now the media is going to roast her. There's no reason for them to protect her, so they're going to highlight all of her embarrassing failures, which they refused to do before. That's why they're doing that. That's why this is happening.